What a summer it's been. We are now in mid-July, and I have not recorded a podcast episode in a couple of months, maybe more. I've admittedly been in a bit of a process of deep reflection on how I can really make Mom Life Handbook as supportive for you and as meaningful and creative of a process for me so that it feels really authentic. I'm feeling like so much of everything that's online is very polished, very expert led, and I don't always find it relatable. And so I was struggling with creating content, especially on the podcast, where it felt like I was teaching and sharing information from an expert lens. And I was trying to figure out how to kind of remove myself from that. So I'm going to dive into that in this week's episode with you, and then also share a little peek into what I've been working on so that you can jump in and join me, because I think it's a project that is going to really resonate and be helpful and supportive to you where you're at in your journey as a mom as well. Your day starts before you're ready. And from the moment you open your eyes, you're managing everything. Schedules, logistics, the million little things no one else even notices. By the time you get a second to breathe, the day is already gone. You just need a way to make what matters fit without constantly feeling like you're falling behind. I'm Erin Christopoulos, a mom of two, an educator turned mom strategist, and on the Mom Life Handbook podcast, I help you lighten the mental load, simplify daily life, and create more breathing room without adding more to your plate or making you feel like you're not doing enough. I share practical, doable strategies in short episodes that fit your day, so you can start making life easier right now without rearranging everything to make it happen. If you're ready to stop feeling behind and start moving through mom life with more ease, hit follow on your podcast app now so you never miss an episode. Okay, so here's the long and the short of it. I was exhausted in coming up with teaching content for the podcast. And I, for a while, was thinking, okay, this is the end of the podcast. Like, I can't do this anymore. But I needed to sit in the quiet, in the stillness, and just let things kind of drop in and marinate and let me figure out, like, all right, how's this all going to flow and fit together? I played around a little bit with opening a digital shop. I've done courses and challenges in the past, and nothing has ever really felt like, yes, this is a great fit. I want to make sure that whatever I create, that it's just a creative process for me, because that's when it's going to be its most authentic, which is then going to make it its most useful. But then also, it always felt like, hello, we're all moms. Like, we don't really have time to take courses. We don't have time to be consistent with a challenge. So, like, why do I keep trying to do the thing that everyone else online does when it's not working for us? And then at that point, I was like, well, I also don't know what to do. I also don't really want to be salesy, like promotional. I am okay with creating things and understanding the fact that in order to support my creative ventures so that I don't have to go back, into a 9-to-5, if I can channel my creativity into something that can generate an income and support my family, that then also benefits the people that I care most about serving, like, I am through and through at ease with offering resources that come at a price that are available through purchase only. But with that said, I don't want to just sell something for the sake of selling it. And it was feeling like I don't want to keep going through this cycle of selling and selling and selling and having it be something that you likely aren't really able to use, right? And so it was hard for me to figure out, well, what is the thing that I can do? And in the time that I was really sitting and just being quiet and patient, I started receiving more and more connection points to the Substack platform. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to pay for everyone's newsletter. Like, I don't need newsletters. But then there was one newsletter that I paid for. was Allison, I still do, Allison Bornstein's newsletter. And she's just such a great inspiration for practical like fashion and styling and just being really comfortable with your own style. And I feel like that is so important as a mom who doesn't have a whole lot of time, but like I want to still feel like my old self who like enjoyed putting together an outfit or, you know, learning how to express myself creatively through my style. So actually, that was my first experience with Substack. And I found that every month I was looking forward to getting her simple, like $5 a month newsletter. And I was like, these are actually like really value packed. And like, I look forward to my Sunday morning with coffee and like sitting down and reading what she's created. And even still, I was like, I still don't think that that's necessarily the right route for me. Like I've tried newsletters before. I don't really like them, but the more I started then exploring other people's Substacks, I started to realize like, no, these aren't newsletters. These aren't like, here's a roundup of my favorite products and like promoting, you know, my this week's podcast episode. Like, no, these are creative pieces that really are giving me a peek into, you know, through a window into their lives. And I'm really enjoying this. It's kind of like going back to blogging days. But what's better than that is there's also like a sense of community. Like people can comment on these posts. People can participate in a group chat. Like it's really awesome to see what people have been creating over there. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know, this really simplifies things too. Like you can have audio on there. You can have video. You can do writing. You can choose the medium that you'd like for your Substack. And more than anything, what matters is it's just all so simplified. And I love that. So I've been thinking through, you know, do I look into a Substack? Do I try that? And another thing I'll say too about newsletters, you know, a little behind the scenes on this, emails have been going through the ringer lately. And a lot of newsletter emails do not land in people's inboxes. It's a struggle for so many small business owners. You know, you put a lot of time into creating a thoughtful piece that you want to reach the people in your community. To have, you know, Gmail and Microsoft have these smart focused inboxes, a lot of times they will take the emails from smaller businesses and bypass your inbox entirely. Like I was not getting my own emails in my email inboxes. It was wild. So I realized Substack emails land in inboxes. And sure enough, I sent out my first Substack post last week, and I think 90% of people that I sent it to opened. That's huge. That's unheard of, to be honest. And that told me like, okay, this is a way to make sure that what I create actually reaches the people that want to hear about it and, you know, doesn't get lost somewhere in some random folder that they don't even know to check. So I was really encouraged to see that. And, you know, I wanted to play around a little bit with what would a Substack look like for us and how could we kind of create that as a place for a sense of community? Because again, the podcast is very one-sided as well. It's like I create it and then where does it go? So to have a place where I can be creative and share what's going on authentically for me as a mom in my journey and create a space for you to be able to interact directly with me in response to what I've created, as well as engage with the other people that are a part of the community there, felt really meaningful and special. It also really simplifies things. I can choose, you know, to offer some resources for free on the Substack. And then if you're loving what I'm creating and you want to support that and you want to go a little bit deeper on some of the deeper dive posts that I create, I can eventually, you know, have that be my source of income and paywall some of those posts. So I haven't paywalled yet, but it feels like at some point that might be, you know, a low price point kind of resource that I could create where I feel good about how I'm showing up for you and supporting you and making sure that it's something that's really digestible and something that's coming directly to you in your inbox rather than you having to go out and find it, because let's be honest, you don't have the capacity for that. So it just all felt like a really good fit. But then the question became, well, what about the podcast? I'm still figuring that out. I'll be honest. I haven't completely landed on a solution or an idea of what that's going to look like. But for now, since I haven't paywalled anything on Substack, at minimum, I want to bring you the audio version of those Substack posts here to the podcast. So in a moment here, we'll switch over to that post, the audio version, for you to be able to tune in and hear that and decide if you'd like to hop in on that Substack. And then I think the podcast is going to become a lot more casual. That's my inclination. I think it's just going to be some quick check-ins, almost like quick pulse checks on what's going on in mom life right now for me personally. But I don't want to promise anything because I genuinely don't know yet how it's going to look. It'll be more frequent than every couple of months, but it's definitely going to be something that I'll show up here when it feels right. And I feel really clear on the fact that, yes, this is the right place to put this. And then the other landing spot's going to be Substack. You'll find me a little bit on Instagram, but for now, I'm feeling like the pull is to really put my time and effort into the really meaningful stuff. Social media has not been feeling that meaningful to me lately. And so being able to create on Substack as I think the best fit for now is something I'm really excited about and something that I hope that you jump in and check out as well. If you want to go to Substack and make sure that you're on the list, you can go to read.momlifehandbook.com. That will take you to my Substack and you can just drop your email address right in there. Again, nothing is behind a paywall. All the posts are free. I want to give people a chance to get a feel for, okay, what is this even going to be like? What do I like about it? And then you can decide for yourself later. Whenever I do decide to open up a paywall, you can decide if that is something that you would like to be a part of, or if you'd like to just continue to be a part of the free community there. The options are going to be available to you. So don't worry about any of that right now. Just get on the list and get a feel for it. So with that said, this week's post is in the monthly section that I've called A Little Less. It's really focused on the feeling that there's so much that I'm managing as a mom on a day-to-day basis, and it's too much, too often. And I'm really trying to pull back and simplify. I mean, I think you can see that here from everything I've shared so far about Mom Life Handbook. I'm feeling that in my life overall. And so I want to just share like, okay, here's one thing right now that's very top of mind for me that I'm trying to figure out how to do less of it or take on less of it. And so this month I wanted to share about our family vacation that we took at the beginning of July. It was wonderful. I feel so lucky to be able to travel with my family. It's something that really matters a lot to me and Jason. It's something that we want to share with our kids. And at the same time, it was not exactly the trip I was expecting it to be. And I'm okay with holding space for both of those things, right? Like the reality that it didn't exactly meet expectations. And regardless, what a blessing to be able to have that experience with my family. Like chances are if we'd been at home, things still wouldn't have been, ideal or great. Like I would have found something frustrating in that. So that's going to follow me wherever I go, whether I'm at home or traveling with my family. But what I wanted to share was how I walked away from that trip realizing that I can expect less of myself and of my family and still have a really successful trip. And so I shared some reflections on what that looked like for me. And also I shared things that helped in the moment when things were the toughest that just helped kind of disrupt any kind of like negative spiraling or looping or things that were happening either for me or my kids, and how we were able to kind of course correct in the moment on the off chance that you're also traveling, in the next few weeks. And this could be something that's really helpful. At the same time, this will live on the Substack so you can come back to it and, reference that list later. It's not going anywhere. So if you have a trip coming up in the next few months, this is still totally applicable. And I think it's a resource that's just, I hope, really helpful and sincere and just helps you feel a little less alone in how hard mom life is. I think that's the overarching goal. So please enjoy listening to this kind of peek into the Substack. Remember to go to read.momlifehandbook.com to drop your email address and subscribe so those emails land right in your inbox every time there's a new post. And then at the bottom of this week's Substack post, I would love to hear from you. I want this to be a place where we do create a sense of community, but I'm only one person. I am not the community. So I'm relying on all of you to jump into the conversation, help get it started. I think the more that all of us can jump into that conversation, the more naturally it'll come to all of us and the greater sense of community we'll be able to create together. Welcome to A Little Less. I'm so glad you're here. For a while now, I've wanted to create a space to explore a question that's been on my mind. What happens when we stop trying to do and be everything and instead embrace a little less? This newsletter is my exploration of the answer. Here, I'll be sharing personal essays that dive into the messy, beautiful middle of modern mom life. You can expect honest reflections on parenting, everyday life, and the constant process of self-discovery. My hope is that whether you're a mom feeling overwhelmed, a recovering perfectionist, or just someone tired of the constant pressure of the highlight reel, the constant pressure of having that life that looks like a highlight reel, or just someone tired of the constant pressure to have the highlight reel life, you'll find a sense of recognition here. The goal is for you to leave each post feeling a little less alone and a lot more compassionate with yourself. Because at the heart of this project is a simple belief. Being a good mom isn't about doing it all. It's about doing less of what we think we should do and more of what actually matters to us and our families. This space is my journey in figuring out what that looks like, starting with a story about our recent family vacation, a perfect lesson in letting go of expectations. It's been 5 years since our family took what I'd call a real trip. In between a global pandemic, a cross-country move, and 2 home renovations, life just felt too chaotic to take on anything more. But before all that, travel was just something we did. We prided ourselves in seamlessly navigating airports with strollers, travel cribs, and a stash of diapers in tow. So when we finally boarded a plane for Boston and Martha's Vineyard earlier this month, I felt this huge sense of relief. We were finally getting back to something we absolutely love doing as a family. But what I didn't realize is that I'd been holding on to this old script of sorts by picturing a return to ourselves and the thing we love most to do together. In fact, with the kids being so much older now, I mistakenly assumed it would be even easier than ever before. And honestly, it just wasn't. It might have been our toughest trip to date. But through the moments that were hard, I walked away with some clarity that I think will make our future trips a little easier, and maybe my takeaways will help you too. So now here I am, a week post-travel, ready to share my takeaways from a family trip that was fun, but honestly less than spectacular. So this is my exercise in letting go of the idea that vacations have to be spectacular. I know family travel can be hard, and I walked away from this experience with some thoughts that might help you take your own trips in stride, to see the challenges not as a personal failing, but as the simple reality of traveling with kids. My first takeaway is that travel is a muscle. Use it or lose it. Use it or lose it. If we aren't traveling with our kids regularly, they won't have the stamina for the busy on-the-go days that come with it. My family is the perfect example. My son has been lucky enough to keep traveling over the past 2 years, continuously strengthening his travel muscle. My daughter, however, was only 3 when we curbed our family travel, and she hasn't done a trip like this since. And now that she's 9, she's in a place where she's not used to the fast pace, the shorter nights of sleep, the lack of creature comforts, or the lost sense of autonomy over her own time. It's a lot to be thrown into and be expected to just hold it together. So this trip was trial by fire for her, and it served as a powerful argument for more regular family travel, not just to build that muscle, but to keep it from atrophying. My second takeaway is that travel is overstimulating. To kick off our trip, we went straight from our quiet home in rural Colorado to the heart of a big city. It was eye-opening to see how all four of us remarked on the noise and the overwhelming energy. I mean, Jason had worked and lived in downtown Chicago for decades, and we raised our kids on regular city weekends. But after just 4 years away from that lifestyle, we all felt how sensitized we'd become. It helped me realize that if I was feeling this way as an adult, able to make sense of it and decide when I'd had enough, it must be infinitely harder for our kids. This applies to any new setting. A change in environment, a disruption to routine, and a flood of new experiences will naturally tax a child's nervous system. So if you're on a trip and your child is melting down more, complaining a lot, or even eating less, remember that these can be signs that travel is just a lot. Meeting them with compassion and building in extra downtime can make all the difference. My third takeaway is that travel is a case study in emotional regulation. Overwhelmed nervous systems naturally lead to hijacked emotional regulation. Cue the tears, the complaining, the digging in of heels, and the flat out defiance. You know your child's default settings, so fill in the blanks. There. This trip was my reminder that it's not just our kids' emotional intelligence being tested, but ours too. We're not only managing our own feelings around delayed flights, car rental mix-ups, or subpar restaurant meals, we're also the person that our kids look to when they're dysregulated. One of our most important jobs is co-regulation. When our kids are spiraling, they look to us to model calm in our own bodies and behavior. And there's almost nothing harder than trying to be the calm when you're already emotionally fried. So it's a fragile dynamic. I was confronted with this reality constantly. There were moments that I felt really proud of myself for recognizing my role as co-regulator, which helped me stay calmer than I probably otherwise would have been. But as the trip wore on and my own self-regulation wore down, it did become harder to be the calm presence that my kids needed. Hey, it's human to lose your patience, and I definitely did on this trip. And I still don't feel good about it. But I have to that research shows the real power is in the repair. When I have my own moments of dysregulation, taking the opportunity to apologize and show my kids what it looks like to own our behavior is deeply impactful. No trip is ever going to be perfect. When things get tough, remember, travel is a muscle. It's overstimulating and it will challenge even the calmest family. So if you're struggling, it isn't you. It's just the nature of traveling with kids. Here are 10 things I did in the moment to try and make things easier. 1, remind myself that behavior isn't a power play, even when it feels like one. It usually is a symptom of an unmet need. 2, baby them. Not literally, but when our kids are dysregulated, we have to take our support several steps back. That might mean extra cuddles, a piggyback ride, or a special treat to get them through. Number 3, rely on ChatGPT. It's great for spur of the moment entertainment ideas when your own brain is fried. Like, give me a 5-minute scavenger hunt for a hotel room. Number 4, ease up on screen time rules. Travel often requires more sitting still than usual. It's okay to provide extra entertainment to get through a long dinner or a train ride. Number 5, give them a sense of autonomy. Invite them to choose the next activity, the route you take, or the museum exhibit you see next. Number 6, be silly. Pull out all the stops to get a little laugh and disrupt a negative pattern for everyone. Number 7, validate their feelings. Let them feel seen and understood. It doesn't mean you have to change the family's plan, but it does mean you honor that their feelings about it are valid. Number 8, break off from the group. Go on a mini adventure, just the two of you on a mission to find something you need their help with. Number 9, take on a new persona. Every afternoon when we were back at our rental to rest, I'd pretend that I was the kids' British nanny. By adding a touch of play to an everyday interaction like showering or getting a snack, I was 1 degree removed from mom, and they were calmer, more playful, and far more compliant. Number 10, wrap things up early. It's always better to end on a high note and get the rest and downtime that everyone needs. Now that I've had the week to decompress, I think I'm walking away with a renewed purpose to travel more regularly. Letting go of the pressure for it to be easy or perfect is the first step, but I can't let that be what stops me and my family from traveling more. In fact, and I'll be honest, some moments on this trip were miserable. There was one night in particular that we'd really been looking forward to. We'd planned to spend the evening at Fenway Park, but it was over 90 degrees, so humid, at the end of an already long day. And Stella was decidedly not having it. And yet, in the midst of her exhaustion, she somehow befriended a security guard who got her onto the field to meet the mascot, and she navigated her food allergies and charmed her way onto a private deck to get an icy that her heart was set on. And then the whole night ended so abruptly in just the 3rd inning because of a rainout that sent us scrambling into a soggy, cramped taxi. But we were leaving earlier than planned, which for her and for me, if I'm being honest, was a secret win. It's not the perfect ballpark memory that I might have planned, but it was something else entirely. It was messy, surprising, and a reminder that the best moments are rarely the ones that we'd planned for in our itinerary. And that, I'm realizing, is what makes it all worthwhile. If you have some of your own strategies that have helped make family travel a little easier, please share them in the comments. I'm crowdsourcing for myself, and I know everyone else here would appreciate the ideas as well. And if you're heading out of town for an end of summer getaway, let me know where you're headed. I love hearing what your family is up to. Keep simplifying, Erin. This essay is the first of many conversations about letting go and finding more ease. If you're looking for more stories about navigating mom life intentionally, I hope you'll subscribe. Visit read.momlifehandbook.com to become a part of our Substack community.